What physical tools? You mean like in person or on screen?
I mean, in person, I guess. Yeah. What physical tools, hi, Davida? What tools could we use to do math, teach math, play with math? Like, for example, paper, pencil, a ruler.
I used to use, okay, I'm Maggie Brown, the one and only. um, I used to use masking tape on the floor in my classroom.
Ooh.
And we would make polygons, or we would, make polygons and then cut them into shapes and see if the different shapes, formulas would still add up to the total. You just have random fun like that on the floor of the classroom. And then we were trying to use, population density. How many people could fit on a block or a tile of the classroom, or how many, I don't know, books or whatever. We would do little experiments or little trials, having fun moving desks around and marking the floor with different colors of tape, and challenging people to find out how fast is there a relationship between how fast the perimeter changes versus the area? Is one a linear change versus a non-linear change? But that was when we were in person. It totally threw off my game to go online. Now I feel like handicapped.
Why don't you choose the next person, Maggie?
Okay, sure. Yeah, Richard.
Okay. Talking about floors, I too miss the real classroom for math, but at Lehman, most of the classrooms we were in had square foot tiles. So it was very useful for teaching area and perimeter. And I would say, what's a square foot? I don't know. Well, just look under your foot there. There's one of them. So it was it was nice to have that kind of concrete reality to deal with. And yeah, I mean, we ended up using the classroom walls to measure, and find area, and it's very helpful, I think, for students and for me to have concrete things like that. And when you talk about area, you can see area, and you might have a job, to lay a floor or paint a wall, and it can be useful. Math can be useful. So that's sort of my tools. Although I found I became very impatient with all the gizmos that we had around the office there, with little tiles and anyway. So that's me. Hey, Patricia, how about you?
Okay, so I'm a very visual learner myself, and I like to use physical objects. And so I use square tiles. I liked square tiles for lots of things, but one was multiplication, area, perimeter, of course, but multiplication facts that students a lot of times have difficulty with. So either that or graph paper. Just ask them to make something, for example, that has an area of 36 tiles or 36 squares on graph paper. And then they can make all different kinds of rectangles. And that's just one tool that I like, but I really like physical objects. So I'll stop at that one, unless you want me to keep going, because I could just keep going and going and going. I will call on, let's see. I couldn't see my screen. So Brendan, were you talking just then?
I have not talked.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I mean, just specifically dealing with perimeter and area, I love using the 1/4 inch scale graph paper with at the same time the 1/4 inch cubes, like little plastic cubes. So, Patricia, when you mentioned like given an area of 36, well, instead of trying to count boxes, they could place the cubes right on the graph paper and then trace it afterwards, or kind of mark off each box on the graph paper, and then they could alternate or change the design. Let's keep the same area, but change the perimeter, or that kind of thing. And one big thing that I expanded on with this is for a couple of years when I was in the high school classroom, that we were through BOCES, and we would I would have each student try to design their own miniature golf course, but to scale. So it incorporated the graph paper, then obviously area, perimeter, and but then into unit prices and total pricing to actual create a full size one. So it was able to expand just area and perimeter into many other math concepts, which ended up being a really big grade for them because there was a lot involved. The main goal at the end was best and actually have the trades programs through BOCES create or make the golf hole, but we didn't get that advanced, so maybe down the road. I stepped in a little late, so I'm not positive on who has presented. I don't think I heard Davida.
That's correct. What's the question? How do we teach area and perimeter? Is that right? Yes, no?
No, a little broader than that. What physical tools could we use to teach math? So not just anything.
To teach math,
Or play
I
with.
use, yeah, I use anything and everything that's available to me, depending on where we are. Whether it's graph paper, and they have graph paper rulers. Then I have the bigger graph paper, so we're doing it together. I think the one where they had allegedly the most fun was doing the rigid transformations and understanding how something mirrors, how an object mirrors, how to translate something up and down. So I give them exercises like that. And then I bring in toys that I get from the dollar store. So if they want to understand a cube using the big die, so that they can see what a cube is as opposed to a flat surface, anything like that. Anything that's around me that I can use to help when we're in the physical. When I'm here in virtual land, it's whatever is in my office. And you never know what I'm going to pull out. So if they want to understand circles, so this is used for blowing up balloons, so you know the sizes. So it has the different sizes. So they know this is a cube, they know it's not solid, but then they can, based on this, we can figure out what the area of the circle, what circumference means, and things like that. So anything is fair game in Davida land.
Who's next, Davida?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Is it Comb?
Yeah, hi. I'm everybody's a student over here, but everybody's a teacher, but I'm a student. So I'm the learning from for you guys, and yeah, but a lot of time it's easy when there is a tools available to as an example, so it's easy to understand. Like Ms. Davida says, when I see the tiles or some tape that shows the perimeter, or tile shows the area, that's very easy to understand. Yeah, that's all I can say it. Probably I'll pick up Vera if she available, I don't know.
Vera, are you available?
Yes, hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Vera.
Hi, how are you? So I came late. I'm sorry, I was just listening.
So we were talking about tools for learning math, like physical tools.
Okay,
What do you like when you're learning math?
okay. Um, I mean, anything. For example, with my children, with my son, he's in kindergarten. I even use fruits when we eat, like, or like anything, like foods. Yeah, as she said, like buying things from dollar store or other things, it's so helpful and like they visualize better. So
Thank you, Vera. That's great. Erica, are you available? Okay, thank you. Thank you all for the introduction, and I think we have a lot to work with here. So this is an introduction to this tool, Mathagon Polypad, which I know many of you have used. And thank you to Colm and Vera for joining us. Colm and Vera both have been in my classes and have, as class leaders, they have helped other students learn how to use Polypad in breakout groups. And so that's why, and they're really doing a lot of teaching in the class themselves. So that's why I invited them today, and maybe to help us or those who are newer to Polypad. Just by like a show of hands, how many people have used Polypad for teaching? Okay, and I know Colm and Vera have. Okay, so the reason why I like it so much is because many of the things that you all mentioned in terms of tools that you like to use for learning math, for teaching math, are available in some form within Polypad. So there's, graph paper, or, a graph format, so like a gridded format, a few different ones that are available. There are tiles that are available, there are cubes, rulers, many different objects for counting and making arrays of items. Patricia mentioned pattern blocks. The sets of pattern blocks are in there. Dice, there are dice that you can roll that are randomized. Spinners for probability. Patricia mentioned a clothesline as well, for like it's sort of like a number line. I see behind Davida on the whiteboard there, there's a number line, right? So Polypad has number lines, and so it really has this immense number of tools. So what my plan today is to give you a quick tour of some of the things in Polypad. There are so many things there. There's no way we're gonna just kind of look at a little corner of it, and hopefully you're intrigued to go look and play some more with it. And we could do this again if you want. If there's something else you'd like to work on together with other folks. And then I want to show how I use Polypad to introduce visual patterns for teaching algebra, for introducing functions. And so I know a number of you are familiar with, a lot of us do sort of similar things with visual patterns, but I want to show you what I've been doing with it. And Maggie and I led a workshop on this at a conference a few months ago, and so it's sort of similar to what we did then. But to start, let me just pull up the website, Polypad, just to say kind of a few basic things about it. The first thing to say is that it's all free. A lot of these websites have amazing tools, are free for a few weeks, or there's some part of the tools are free, but this one really is free completely, all of it. As far as I can tell, it will be free for as long as it exists. We can't predict that, but it's completely free. And another thing to say is you can log in and save your work, which I think is really useful. So I want to show you. So by the way, this is where we're at, and I'll be sharing some links as we go. But if you want to open this on the side and play along as we go, that's probably not a bad idea. I think logging in to Polypad is a good idea, because you may want to save what we do today. There is, so on the top right, is a little icon of a person. If you click up there, you'll see it says sign in. You can create a new account, but if you have a Gmail account, you can do it that way. So that's how I do it. I didn't create a new account. I just signed in with my Google account, and I'm already signed in Gmail, in this browser, so I didn't have to enter it. Go ahead, Vita.
Is it a website or an app?
It's a website.
Okay.
There is an app, but it has some of the functionality, but it's really much more useful as a website. So I'm clicking up here and I'm signing in to the website, and I'm clicking on Google, and it just logs me in. Oh, actually I have to choose which account I want. So here's my personal account. And so now I'm logged in. You can tell that I'm logged in because my, an icon up here, my personal icon shows up, a photograph. And then over here under this file section in the top left, all my files are now available. So I have folders, for a math teaching circle that we do once a month. This is a conference here. Here's my math class a year ago. You can see I have folders for lots of different things. This is, I meet with my nephew once a week to do math. And each of these you can save all these different workspaces. I play chess with my nephew using this here. There's a full chess set in here. I've taught him how to use an analog clock. There are clocks. I mean, there are all kinds of stuff in here. We roll dice and think about probability. Right? I can grab dice. I get random rolls. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this tool. But just to say that once you've logged in, you can start to save anything you do, and you can organize them into folders. But before we get into, so hopefully we'll be doing a little bit of that today. Before we get into that, I want to show you some of the other tools that are available here, just sort of as a quick tour. I'm in a file right now, so this is one of the activities I did with my nephew. To get a new space, I'm going here. I'm under the file menu, but I'm going here to where it says library, and I'm clicking here where it says new Polypad. This is if I want a new folder to organize my saved Polypads. This gives me a new blank one. So I'm gonna click on that. I don't need to save anything. I was just rolling the dice. Let me just start that. So here I have this blank workspace. And then if I go, so this file part is like where I can save files, where I can share files, where I can organize files. Tiles are all the tools that are available in Polypad. And they're organized in different, math subjects. So geometry, numbers, fractions, algebra, probability, and data, and then games and applications. So just to give you a little tour of some of the stuff that's available, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different topics under geometry, and each of them have a bunch of tools under there. So these are all polygons. I just sort of click on them and I can move them around. I can rotate them. I can change the color of them. A lot of these will snap. So if you get them lined up sort of in the right orientation, they'll snap together. You see how it's kind of popping together, it fits perfectly. So if they're the right sort of size for each other, it doesn't even have to be the right size, but they're just like, if you can line up two straight surfaces, they're going to snap together. You can highlight them. I could copy, and suddenly have two of these. These are all different polygons. You see, I don't know, there's lots of stuff you could do here in terms of artistic, like just playing with math or trying to figure out how to make tiles, right? We were talking about area and perimeter and tiling. You can also make some custom polygons, this tool here. So if like, you want, let's say you want a triangle, but you don't want an equilateral triangle. Maybe you want one that's different sizes, different shapes. Actually, let me do that again just to show you what I did. This custom tool here, it always looks the same at the beginning. If I want to take a point away, like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, right? If I want a 4-sided figure, I can just click on one of the dots and it disappears. So now it's 4 sides. Or if I want a triangle, I can click on one of these, the points, I guess, one of the vertices, and now I have 3 sides. If I want to add points, I click anywhere in the line. So you can end up making polygons of any number of sides you want, really, and it could be convex or concave, and these are also you can copy, you can flip. So in terms of like teaching rigid transformations, there's all kinds of things you can do using these, right? You can highlight them both and copy and rotate. Get that lined up. It wants to lock, so let's see here. Yeah, it's actually, there's an orientation in between here. I can't get exactly what I want, but you can sort of see the kinds of things that are possible, and that's just in the polygon section. There's all kinds of fun games and tools in here. Cangrams, Penrose tiles. They're like for activities for tiling, pentagon tiling. The 3D solid stuff is really pretty amazing. Like for example, here's a cube, right? So we talked about cubes, and you might want to visualize how that works. But you can also in here that you can unfold these 3-dimensional objects into their nets. So move this out of the way here. So you might try and imagine what this would look like if you unwrapped it, like unfolded it. But this tool here will let you unfold the net. I mean, you can also do things like where you take pieces of, like you create a net. So like a box here, the cube has 6 sides, I think, right? So what are the possible ways that you can orient those 6 sides? Like I know I have to have 6. Can I do that? Would that make a box? You can test it. Highlight everything, fold net. It worked. Unfold it. Let's see here. I want to split it, but I don't think I can. Or let's see here. So like you could, and then you could grab. Oops. Here's another one. Let's see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Will that work? Can I fold that up into a net? There's some way you can fold this so it'll make a box. It says no. See the little message here. So maybe something's wrong. Maybe I need to move that. Would that work? Seems like it did, but it's a little weird. Doesn't fold quite the way I want it to. Anyway, there's lots of stuff to play around with here. And that's all just within the polygon section. So, or in the geometry section. There are also like rulers, protractors, compass, right? So for drawing a circle. I don't remember how this works. How does this work? I forgot how it works. I'm gonna pass because I can't remember how that works. But there's protractors for measuring angles, rulers for distance. You can do centimeter or inches, or both centimeters and inches. You can, make the ruler bigger and smaller. You can, reorient it, all that stuff. And then that's all in geometry. And then in numbers, there's all kinds of other tools, like so number tiles, maybe for teaching place value potentially. Like this is, a single tile, 10 by 1 tile, a 10 by 10 tile. There's also number bars, like Cuisenaire rods for those who taught math for a while, or maybe played with these in school. All kinds of tools for teaching math. So for example, here's a number line, right? We're talking about the clothesline. So you can create a number line here. You could change the steps, so it's going not just by 1, but it could go, go by any number you want. You could start at -20. So there's lots of different ways to use these. I'm gonna skip over a couple of this stuff, and actually I'm gonna delete some of this till we have some room. So if you see, I'm just drawing a square around this stuff and then just hitting backspace on my keyboard to clear the space. There are fraction bars, which you can use for visualizing fractions, and these can be shown as percents, fractions, or decimals. So, for example, so you see here, like the first few are in fractions, and these are in decimals. So you could think about equivalent fractions in decimals. So they're just showing that 0.2 and 1/5 are the same, right? You can also do fraction circles as well. So all the same options are available: fractions, percents, decimals. So how many 8s fit in a half, for example? So you might have, like what is, or for example, what is 1/2 divided by 1/8? Let's say. Well, here's a way to visualize it. How many 8s go into 1/2? You can clearly see that it's 4. One thing I'm doing a lot of is that I'm clicking and I'm copying is one way to do it. Once you have something you like. Another way is on, like at least on a Windows PC, you can hold the Alt key down while you drag, and then it just copies. So I'm holding the Alt key down and I'm clicking and dragging and getting multiple copies. So I tend to do that quite often. You can also go and click on one thing, hit copy, it makes a duplicate, and hit copy again. It does the same thing. Whenever you click on an object, you get this little toolbar below, which lets you copy or delete or look at some options, like this gear option gives you some more possibilities. Like I could change this to a percent, change it to a decimal, maybe have no label at all. And this menu is contextual, so it's specific for whatever object I've highlighted. So if I highlighted a square and hit the gear, it's not going to say anything about fraction, decimal, and percent, right? That was a specific menu, specific option that's available for that tool. Okay. There's so much stuff here. It's really hard not to get just kind of there's so many different tools, but I do want to get into some other stuff that I want to show you. But just quickly, there are coins and spinners for probability, and you can here this spinner has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regions. You can change it to 4, change it to 3, change it to more, and they're all equivalent regions, right? They're all sort of they equally have the same size, right? So you would imagine the chances of landing on one is the same because they're all the same size. But you can also make spinners where the regions aren't the same size. So you could start to ask like, well, you know, what are the chances of landing on orange, let's say, versus one of the others? Anyway, there's lots of different possibilities. There's coins. You can flip coins. And a lot of these tools you can, and it's true, the spinners as well, you could make a bunch of them and flip them all at once. So I just flipped 8 coins. But if you want to like think about the law of large numbers or something in probability, maybe you want a ton of coins. So. And you could flip them all. And I think this is a new tool. If I click tabulate, that's amazing, right? So look at that. So it's automatically tabulating how many heads and tails there are. Again, I think it's going to change. Yep, see, 32 and 32. I believe you can probably do the same. I'm not sure if you can do tabulate. Oh, do tabulate with this too. So if you had multiple, I just spin it once, and so it's blue, so there it is. But if I had multiple spinners, I think, let's see here. If I tabulate that, they're all on blue now, but let's see if I spin them. You can see that there's 1 green, 1 teal, is that the color? 1 magenta, maybe, and 1 orange, just as it shows here. I mean, it's sort of incredible possibilities for teaching probability. Okay, but what I would like to do is show you a little bit of how I've introduced algebra and visual patterns using this tool. So I have a file that I already set up. I'll give you a link to it in a little bit, but I want to do something with it first. So I'm going into my file section here. And where am I going? I have a teacher reader folder, I think. It's called Introduction to Polypad, and I'm clicking on this here to open it. And I don't need to save any of the stuff I was doing before. So I have an image under this gray box, and I want to. So right now I'm going to sort of model what I've done with students a bit. So I'm going to ask you to all to be students for a few moments here. So you might want to get. Oh, actually, so just make sure you're looking at the screen. I'm going to ask you how many tiles you see. You don't see them yet because I haven't showed them. How many tiles you see, but I'm not going to give you much time to look at the image. I don't want you to count one by one. You can try, but I don't think you'll have enough time to count one by one. So you're going to have to figure out some other way to see how many tiles there are. Is everyone ready? Let me know if you're not ready. Okay, got a thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Sorry, that wasn't much time. I probably should have mentioned it, but if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, it's probably a good idea. You can either visualize in your mind, try drawing what you saw. And in the chat, let us know how many tiles you saw. Actually, before we do that, does anyone want to see it again? Or do you feel like you know? No one wants to see it?
I'll see it one more time. I was still rolling dice on my screen.
Ah, good. Thank you, Brendan. Okay, here it comes. Okay, let us know in the chat how many tiles there are, and how many squares. Let's see if we agree. Okay. Seems like we have a fair amount of agreement. Does anyone think there are a number other than 13? Does anyone get something different than 13? Okay, so let me go ahead and reveal it. Let's take a look. We can count one by one now. It's just to confirm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is find out how you knew how many tiles there were. Let me just to show you what I'm doing real quick. I locked these tiles so I couldn't accidentally move them. And what that means is right now I can't actually select them. So there's on the top right here, there's a few different options I can use. Under grid and display, actually this is good to show. This is where you can you can use grid paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the grid paper for a minute. And you can see that now there's a grid behind the squares that we have. That may be useful for us. I can also click and choose edit hidden or locked tiles. And that's also under the grid section. Why they put it there, I'm not really sure. But edit or hidden locked tiles, I click on that. And that's going to allow me to see some options. Like I can now highlight these. It wouldn't let me highlight them before. I can highlight this and I'm going to go into options here. And I had the tile locked, which means I can't select it at all. I think I actually want to lock the position. So locking the position means I can't move it, but I can select it. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm going to go back here and turn off edit or lock tiles. So this is sort of like a teacher mode, I guess. Like editing the hidden tiles, and then now we're maybe back to student mode. So now I can highlight this stuff, but I can't move it. Like you can't see this, but I'm trying to click and drag and it won't move it. But what I can do is I can highlight it and copy. So here, I can copy this and move it over. And so what I'd like now is a volunteer who can tell us how you knew there were 13 tiles. Somebody get us started. Brendan, can I choose you?
Sure. The way I looked at it was I saw that there was 5 in the first column, and then 2 in each of the next 4 columns. So I did it that way.
So let me see if I have this right. That's not different enough color. Let's do a different color too. Something like that. So
yeah, yep. So I did
go ahead. I'm sorry.
5 and then 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 8 and 5 is 13.
So 5. I'm going to go ahead and it seems right, which you could 5. Am I right? 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's 5 plus 8. Is that what you did? Or
right?
It's funny, I'm having a little bit of an error here on the screen. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so can we get another way of seeing? Who's next?
Can I go?
Yeah, please come.
I saw it like right bottom left is 1, then all top 4 and right bottom 4 and a diagonal 4. 1 plus 4, 4, 4.
So this is 4,
Yeah,
this is 4,
yeah,
and this is 4.
correct.
I might make those different colors just so we can see them stand out. That's right.
Correct.
So one thing to point out, so I click on the box and then I choose the color here at the bottom. And sometimes I'm selecting more, just like a little tech tip. If I want to select more than one, I click outside of the square and draw around it. If I click on it, I'll move it. I don't want to move it. So I'm clicking outside, drawing a square I want to highlight. And then I can, change the color. In terms of, and then writing the equation, or writing like Combs' way, or Combs, let me change the language actually, Combs' method, or Brendan's method. I'm using the text tool at the bottom with the T. To write the equation, I'm using the equation tool next to it. So I'm clicking on the equation tool here, and I think, it's strange how this is happening. Sorry, 1 second. With the equation tool, I think, strange error I'm having. I think Comey, you said 1 plus 4 plus 4.
Correct.
Okay. And that's also 13.
Yeah.
Can we get 2 more ways of seeing, I think, is what I'd like. So, hey, Richard, you got is your way the same or is it different? Is Richard here? Oh, sorry. Maybe Richard wasn't able to stay. Davida, is yours way same or different?
Different.
Okay.
I did 5 down the side.
Okay.
Then the 4 on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 4 going up on the angle.
Okay. So then correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be that you could say that an expression for that could be 5 plus 4 on the bottom plus 4 at an angle.
Yes.
Cool. And Erica said hers is the same as Davina's. Cool. Does anyone have a different way of seeing these squares?
Yes, I did.
Let's hear it, Maggie.
I see a box of 4 in the corner and then 3 wings that are 3 each.
Say it one more time.
A box in the corner of 4 by 2 by 2 box.
Oh, I see. So it's 4
Mm.
plus 3 plus 3 plus 3.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can visualize this. So you said the 4 by the 2 by 2 or the 4 box here, and then 1. Go ahead, Maggie.
Yep, that's it. 1,
And
2,
then
3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
That's right.
Cool. Okay. So let me save this. I go to File and I click on Save. And I gave it this name earlier, right? So I can click up here where the pencil is, where it says Introduction to Polypad. I typed that, right? I'm gonna hit Save so it's updated. And then I'm using the magnifying glass here on the bottom right here to zoom out and to zoom back in. And this tool here is for moving around. I can move the page up and down. So I have some other stuff down here that I want to reveal. Let me see, I'm going to click on Edit Hidden and Locked Files. And you'll see that I have some other materials down here that we're waiting. Let me go ahead and highlight them and make them visible. Whoops. Did I just reveal something I should have revealed? So I'm going to click on the gear here and take off invisible. So now these are all visible when I turn off this Edit Hidden Lock Tiles option. So one thing I didn't tell you is that this figure we looked at that we know has 13 tiles and that we can count in all these different ways, but it's part of a visual pattern. It's figure 3 in a visual pattern. Here's figure 1, and here's figure 2, and here's figure 3. I'm wondering if we could use, let's see here, what if we used Combs' method? So I'm wondering if we could use Combs' method to count the tiles in these other figures. So I'm wondering if someone other than Comb could tell us, maybe I'll copy it down. So I'm going to highlight it here, and I'm going to bring a copy down here so we can look at it. I could actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll just replace this. I'll delete this one, and I'll bring this one in. This is Combs' method. I'll make this a little bit bigger. We have figure 3. Could somebody tell us, how do you think Comb would count the tiles in figure 1? I'm sorry, figure 2.
One plus three plus three plus three.
1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And how do you see that, Vera? Could you explain where's the 1?
Yeah, and the one is in the first one, like the square, the first square.
So I'll make that green maybe the same way.
Yeah. Then 3 vertical, horizontal, and angle. But I like the way Davida said, I saw it that way, like 5 plus 4 plus 4.
That's the way you saw it as well? You
Yeah, yeah.
Vita's method?
I think, yeah, because it's like you see a square and then I think that's, I mean, for me, it's easier.
Wait,
Like,
where do you're talking about Davita's method? You see?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it. 5 plus 4 plus 4.
Uh-huh.
I like Maggie's one as well.
Yeah, so Erica and Vera both saw it this way. And yeah, and Maggie's method
Yeah,
is cool with the square.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool like that too.
Well, we'll come back to it. Let's stick with Combs' method for a second. Could somebody else tell us how, oh, here's the part I forgot. So I'm gonna put it, what expression do you think Comb would write, Vera, for figure 2?
Yeah, it was a 1
Uh-huh.
plus 3 plus 3 plus 3.
Got it. And just a little thing. This is awfully highlighted, and then there's a little. This is to make the text bigger. This is to make the text smaller. Can someone tell me how Comb would do figure 1? Patricia?
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. And what would they look like?
Well, the bottom right, no, left square would be green. And then the 2 left vertical squares would be dark pink. And the 2 other diagonal ones would be light pink. And the other 2 that are orange now would be turquoise.
Great. Comb, does that seem right? Is that what you would have done?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm gonna move Comb's method up here a little bit. Let's do one more since let's do DeVita's method. So I'm gonna bring DeVita's method here, copying it down. So how could some, so she, for figure 3, DeVita had 5 plus 4 plus 4. How would DeVita count figure 2?
Of 4 plus 3 plus 3. 4 on a vertical.
So what would it look like, Colin?
4 tile would be the vertical.
So I'm gonna just grab these and copy these 4 here because we already have them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 3 would be on the horizontal on the bottom.
3 horizontal. Let me see if I can grab these.
And 3 would be on the diagonal.
So I'm gonna grab those 3 on the diagonal. So is that 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, 3 plus 1, 2, 3? Okay. What about figure 1? Vera, how would you do figure 1 using DeVita's method?
Number 1 will be 3 plus 2 plus 2.
3 plus 2 plus 2. And what would it look like?
Yes, so 3 vertical and 2 horizontal and 2 like angle or diagonal.
1, 2, 3 plus 2 plus 2. Cool. DeVita, does that feel right?
Yes.
So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to copy this down. So this is okay. So I want you all to have some practice doing this stuff. But I also want to show you a couple other things that we can do. So I'm going to save this real quick, and I'm going to share a link to you in a minute. But one thing we often do with visual patterns, or just like the functions in general, is you could have a table of values, and you can also have a graph of values, right? So we have 3 figures, and we know how many tiles are in each of these 3 figures. And the next thing I think we might think about is figure 4, or figure 5. We could start to predict how many tiles would be in each of those. and maybe we would use DeVita's method or Combs' method. But let me just show you one other thing you could do, a couple other things you can do. If we go back to tiles under algebra, there is a coordinate axes and tables section, and you can grab an X and Y table. So I'm going to grab a table and put it here. So we can start to make a table of values. It has X and Y. I'm going to change those labels. I'm going to double click on the X, and I'm going to say that's the figure number. Maybe I'll just put the pound sign for figure number. So figure number 1, figure number 2. And then here instead of Y, I'm going to put number of tiles. It's the number of tiles in the first figure, number of tiles in the second figure. And if you notice, when I click on this table, I can drag and create more columns, which I don't really need now. Or I can grab here this little handle and create more rows. So 3, 4, 5, that's probably enough. Anyone remember how many tiles there were in the first figure?
10.
One?
7.
Or
7, right? 3 plus 2 plus
Okay.
2 is 7, or 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. Whether it's Combs' method or DeVita's method, right? Okay, 7. What about figure 2?
10.
That's 10. And figure 3?
13.
13. Okay, we might start to predict what we think the other ones are going to be. Before we do that, I'm going to show you can also grab a coordinate plane here under the algebra section. And I'm going to grab the coordinate plane and put it on the right side here so we can make a graph. Because all the values are positive right now, we don't really need negative numbers. So I'm going to click on this little handle here and drag it up. So we don't really need negative X values. We don't really need negative Y values. So now we just have the first quadrant. And now it gives me more room if I want to make this bigger.
That's so cool.
So now I could just start drawing and plotting points, right? 1, 7, and oops, maybe I'll use this tool here. And I could do that. 1, 7, 2, 10. You can see I still don't have enough room on my graph. But you can also, I could do that by hand, but I could also do it automatically. Let me bring it down even further. Make this bigger. So if I click on the table here, I click on it once. You see this little blue triangle? If I drag that over and drop it, it graphs it automatically.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, so cool.
It's also sort of weird. It has 4 and 5 here at 0 because there's nothing in there yet, but we'll put some stuff in there. Take that out. I'm going to take that off. So you can play with this when you get this file. Like you can click here and drag it on there, and you can also disconnect it. There's other things you can do here, like a scatter plot. Look at that. This is sort of new to me. Here's a scatter. That's an even quicker way of doing it. I click on the table. I have these charts possible. Like a pie chart doesn't make sense. I don't think a column chart really makes sense, but you can imagine different kinds of data in the table where it wouldn't make sense, right? Okay. Let me hit save. What I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to challenge you to do, is draw figure 4 and draw figure 5. See if you can keep the color schemes going. See if you can create an equation or an expression underneath. right? Try and do some of the stuff that I was doing for figures 4 and 5, and then maybe complete, add to the table, try graphing it. So to share this with you, I'm going up here to the share section here. I click on this will copy, or I can click on this little network little icon. And click copy link here. Actually, the truth is the easiest way to do it, I find it, is just go up to the top, up to the URL, and just copy that. And that's a share link. So I'm gonna put that in the chat for you now. Oh, Maggie, did I counted your squares wrong? I didn't count it the way you actually counted it?
Where?
Oh, your note.
No. I started off when you first showed the diagram, I noticed
Yeah.
there were 5 in a stack. But then I was like, I would have a problem figuring out the rest of it. So I will put the lower 2 with the, into a block, and that leaves me with 3, 3, and 3. So that's how I came. It was
The first
it was
time
a
you turned
process.
5, 5, and 5.
Yeah, at first I said it was 5, 5, 5, and I was like, but wait, that's not quite true. If I want to, if I don't want to double count, I'm going to use the brick that you have as purple now. But yeah, when I first looked at when you first give that like wink, I said, okay, there's 5 in a stack. And then there's some sort of, correlating as the rest of the diagram. But I was like, it wouldn't make sense to think of it as 5 because I'm going to be ending up double counting. So I would prefer to put the lower 2 with the next 2 next to it and make that a brick. And then that leaves 3 all the way around. So that's how come it, if you know what I mean. It wasn't an instant. This method was not instant.
Got it. Cool. Thank you,
Did,
man.
but Quint, may I ask a question? Did you see 3, 3, and 3, or did you see the 3, 3 separately?
I don't know what you mean separately.
You saw the purple as 1, but did you see the other 3s that you have there? Did you see them individually, or did you see them all at the same time?
Yeah, in a way I said, none of them are beyond the square. Like there's a square that's created by the end of those blocks. So I said, if the first column needed 3 to go to the top, well, then everybody else is going to need 3 to go to the top or to the edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I said. I said, after I see that that's a purple brick, there's 3 above to go to the top. There's 3 on an angle to go to the top. And there's, to the right top corner. And then there's 3 horizontally to go to the right. So that's how come I said it must be only 3 in all of them. So I didn't have time to count them separately, but I'm figuring they're not passing. I could see from the first flash that none of them are passing the square.
Okay.
They're all within the 5 by 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Go ahead, Davida. I'm sorry.
No, I said it's Patricia's fault because that's what she did at the Institute. That's why I was asking that question.
So I put a link in the chat. So I'm hoping everyone can open up that Polypad link individually. And I want to see if you can draw figures 4 and 5.
Is this me? I think that's me.
Perfect.
Okay.
So you want to work on your method first? That would make sense.
Yeah. So I got there and I couldn't remember what to do after that. Because every time I clicked, I know if I clicked on the box, I was moving 1, but beyond that, couldn't get it to copy. Would that be this one? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now.
So you highlighted everything and then you clicked copy. Yep.
Okay, so then it's.
Nice.
Okay. Question, will it copy the word figure also?
If it's highlighted, it will. One,
Okay,
so you can click it, you can click around everything or just do it, reselect it. Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Hmm. Yeah, so since you lost the selection, you might want to do undo. If on the top right, there's an undo button at the very top right of the screen.
Wait, okay, wait. Where's
It might
under? Oh,
be-
this one.
Yeah. Click one more. Click until you're back. There you go. Then you can start over again.
So do I have to take off the undo?
No, no.
Okay,
Yeah, you're good now. So it will copy the word figure,
okay,
but then you could delete it if you wanted.
okay, so let's try. Can I move? Okay, I know what to do. Can I move this down?
Yeah, but you do have to select it all in order. Yeah, you can move it all down. You just select it all and move it down. Yeah. Here's a trick. Let go for a second. Hold the shift key down on your keyboard and now click just on figure 4. That
Okay.
selects it. Shift. Yeah, there you go. So now you can, yeah, you can do that too. Mhm.
I think that's right.
And what about the expressions? Can you write the expressions underneath?
Let's see.
Yep.
Uh, wait. Where am I? Oh, wait.
You can use the text tool. If I'm using numbers, I tend to prefer the equation tool because it does exponents, does fractions.
So then I hit that and then,
Oh, I see you actually have a 6 there. It's just really small. Do you see it? Like it actually,
I know I saw something. I just couldn't figure out what it. Okay, let's try.
You might want to zoom in
Okay, so,
yep.
and then here,
Mm-hmm.
6. Why is it so small?
Why don't you go ahead and you can make it bigger if you click out and then click on it once. Yep, and then there's a little A with the arrow pointing up. You see a little,
Oh.
Yep. Click on that a few times until it gets big as you want it.
Okay.
Yeah, now double click on the 6. Try again. Try clicking on it. Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, there you go. You're in it. Yeah.
6 plus. And then. Oh, here we go again.
Try double clicking again. Yeah, you don't want to do that because now you have 2 different equations.
Okay.
They're not connected. I think it's better to actually edit the thing you already have. It's just try double clicking on it.
Hey, that's not right.
Yeah, that's something else. I'm not sure what that is. Double click there. There you go. You're in it now. Mm-hmm.
It's all right.
Cool. So can I ask other folks, has anyone else been able to recreate the figures, like for figure 4 and 5? We've seen Davita's. Would somebody else be willing to share?
I did something on my screen.
Okay, I'm
should
gonna
I-
stop sharing so you can go.
I cheated by copying the original figure twice and then adding to it. Is that cheating?
I don't think so.
By any means necessary.
So yeah, I found that when you are going to move the figure, you cannot put this little hand in a gray space. You have to put the little hand on a colored space or a figured space. Like for example, this gray space in between, after I highlight it and it looks like an entire unit, right? If I click on the gray, if I put on the gray space, the little hand disappears and I cannot move it as a whole. It just clicks off. But if I highlight the whole figure and I want to move this whole figure, I have to hover over a colored spot to show the little hand. And only then can I move the whole thing. So that's what stopped me many times. I was like, why can't I, where's the little hand? And the little hand has to be, even though it's in the side of the block, if it's not over a colored thing, the little hand disappears. So that's what I just learned 1 minute ago.
Did anyone else learn any tricks that they, figure something out as you're playing with it that you'd like to share? Or did you run into any problems that we can help with?
Why is my text so much smaller and I have to keep enlarging it every time? Is there a way to set the size, like that it will be the same type size and as the original ones?
It depends on how zoomed in or out you are. That when you create a new text box, it's always a default size. It's because we're zoomed pretty far out because we're using these squares that are standard polygons. And I zoomed out so they look a little bit more like small tiles, but they're actually fairly big. One thing you can do is you can copy text that if you have the size of something and you like it, just copy that piece of text and then edit it and change it.
Okay.
I think maybe that's what Maggie did for the expressions. Is that true, Maggie?
No, actually, I went one by one and made it was super tiny and then I enlarged.
And you resized them. But you could just copy the text, just like copy the tiles. Maggie, did you figure out how to add to the table and create a graph?
Oh, no, I didn't get there. I didn't get there yet. I'm still fumbling around here.
Did anyone else figure that out?
I think I did it, but I'm not done with the figure picture. But I did the table and a graph.
Oh, show us, go.
Hopefully that's correct. Let's see. Okay, this is the first one with the my method. The picture I made over here on this corner, the figure 4.
Okay, got it.
So I didn't have a time to make a mistake.
Wait, can I ask you? Can we see your picture again?
Yeah.
Can you explain the equation to us? I'm not understanding the equation or the expression. 1 + 4 + 4 + Like 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. How does that work?
How does it work?
Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
Every figure this would be 4 extra blocks, but oh no, something wrong.
Why do you say something's wrong?
I just added 3 blocks. That's what I remember.
You added 3.
Yeah,
This is adding 4.
right.
Well, tell us about that experiment. Yeah, the one you're pointing at right now. The 1 plus 4 plus 4.
Yeah,
How
this
does that
one I have
work?
all 4. Yeah, right here. The vertical 4 and diagonal 4. And, over here 4 and on the corner is 1. Supposed to be over here. Okay, this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
But it's not 4, is it?
No.
There are more than 4 there, no?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. It's I was thinking that 4 plus 4, but it's just it should be 5, 5, 5. Yep. It's a 1 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5.
So you can double click there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that means I also made the wrong number on the table too. Oops.
One thing you can do is you can use your arrow on your keyboard, or yeah, that's fine too.
Okay.
Right side, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's 16, right? 1 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. Is that 16? Are there 16 there?
Yeah. Yeah, this is 16. Yeah, this is right now is correct. Sure. So then I made the table also wrong over here then. Table 3, 7, 13, 4 supposed to be 16.
You were adding 4 each time before.
Every figure 4, if figure 4 was 5, then figure 6 supposed to figure 5 supposed to be 6. 6 times 3 plus 1, 19. Yeah. I made it wrong. This is 22.
We have just a little less than 10 minutes left. I'm wondering, in terms of like what questions have come up in terms of Polypad. This is for sort of one particular use of it. Are there any other things that have come up that you would like to know about, or any issues that have come up as you tried to use it for yourself?
So are the students working individually, or can they work in groups on these, or they're working individually? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think so. Let me correct me if I'm wrong, but so it isn't like Google Docs or like a Jamboard. You can't work collaboratively in one Polypad
Okay.
that you can in these other tools. they say that they're working on it, and at some point it might be possible, but at this point, only one person can be in a document at a time.
Okay.
And when I shared a link with you, that document is now your document. And so any things that Combe did, that Davida did, those are two different documents now. And you can save them, but it doesn't affect my document. Right? I gave you a link, open up Polypad, but you're not making changes to my document. So in order to see what students are doing, like you can make a little worksheet. If you notice, there's a multiple choice, or not a multiple choice, there's a fill in the blank question down at the bottom of the thing I gave you. But to see students' answers or responses, they either have to send you a link back, like they have to save and send you a link, or they have to, share their screen or something like that. There is a whole classroom component to Polypad, like in the same way like Google Classroom works, or like a Newsella classroom. I could show you that real quick. I mean, it didn't work perfectly for me, but let me show you real quick. I know this is more than what you asked, but let me just show you real quickly. I have a third option that you probably don't have on your account. Like I have tiles file and I have class. And under class, let me see if I can find something here. So like I can assign things to my, you can sync up with Google Classroom, and you can make give assignments to students. Let's see here. So winter 22, my winter class. Here's an assignment I gave at the very beginning of the class. If I go to class here, if you see on the left here, I'm making this anonymous, but this is all student work. And I see it because they're in my class. And so when they open up the link that I give them and click save, then I can automatically see what they did. So these are examples of student work. If I click over here at the top right, like I think another thing that maybe you don't have is I have a teacher dashboard. Now you could, I mean,
Oh, you have to join as a teacher. You have to open a teacher account.
Yeah, I don't even remember how I did.
And then you get a code. Yeah, I had to do that because at first I was a participant, and then I had to go and use my other email. I don't think you can do it on the same email. So I went and I used my job email.
I just signed up and it came in as a participant. And then I think I went into settings and changed to teacher with the same email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here we go. Right under settings, change account type. I don't want to change the student. I think I'm already there, so that I don't want to change to student.
Mm-hmm.
But then under your teacher dashboard, like you can see all your students, and you can see what they've worked on in Polypad. So these are all different assignments that students have worked on that I can look at. Now I did have some issues syncing with Google Classroom, and it may be because I had a really big class. I had like 70 students registered. Maybe that was the issue. It was not all my students were showing up in Polypad. They actually had to join manually, which means like they get a code. Is it here? Where's my code? Oh, right. So winter 22 math group, to add students, they may have to like grab this code here and type it in order to join my class. I also like did an import from Google Classroom, but like I said, that didn't work perfectly. Another thing to point out here, like while we're here, is there's a bunch of other stuff at Mathagon outside of Polypad. And so you can see some of my students have worked on this divisibility in primes textbook. Like if you go to courses at the top, there are all these courses. There's sort of like interactive textbooks. I really like the divisibility in primes one, like factors and multiples. And they incorporate these interactive tools from Polypad. And they require students to do some work in order to move forward and see more of the textbook. So like 8 is a factor of 56, 8 is a multiple of 56. These are two words that are very confusing for students, right, about which is which. We know it's about multiplication, but which is 8 a factor or is 8 a multiple of 56, right? So I think it's a factor. 8 is a factor, multiple of 63.
No, neither.
Right. So like you can do like a multiple, like, so you have to get through this stuff in order to reveal other things.
So if they don't get past that, do they give them different exercises, or it's going to be the same question?
I think it's the same questions. It's not incredibly interactive. It's just sort of like a little bit of just testing and checking before moving on. But it's, some interesting stuff, right? Like some dynamic things in terms of tools for, it's mostly for self-study, I'd say, this stuff, But anyway, that's all under courses. There's a lot of stuff to look at. Some of it's not finished yet. You can see there's like some of it's still under construction. But there's a lot of sequences and pattern stuff, divisibility in primes, geometry, triangle stuff, polygons, circles. And there's a lot of stuff under activities that are pretty fun too. This multiplication by heart is great. If give students who want to work on their multiplication facts, or they want their kids to work on the multiplication facts, multiplication by heart is fantastic. It's not just memorization. It's about really understanding what multiplication is, like about thinking about sets, right? So 5 times 2 is like 5 2s. And you might know 5 times 2 is 10, but you could also just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or start to think like skip counting, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. See the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 popped up real quick. 2 5s, 5, 10. 2 times 5 is different than 5 times 10. I mean, they're equivalent, but And if students have their own account, they can keep coming back to this, and it'll give them a different practice each time they come. Factress is this really cool game. It's like Tetris, but it's about factors and multiples. So like 8 is 2 times 4, or 1 times 8, or 4 times 2, or 8 times 1. And so, how are you going to get it to fit in there? I do this a lot with my nephew as well. There's a lot of there's just kind of amazing stuff here. And there's a bunch of lessons. So these are things that are all set already, like balance scales, puzzles, all kinds of stuff in here. There's a whole visual pattern section, actually. Where are the visual patterns? So many different things here. Ooh, taxi cab geometry. Remember that, Cole? Remember that meeting? Visual patterns here. So like, this is like kind of what we were doing today, but they have a whole set of tools on this. And like, one thing you can do. Whoops, I don't need to play that. But you can set up answers that are correct, and students can check to see if they're right. So how many tiles are there in figure 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put a 5 there, you hit enter, and it tells you whether you're correct or not. Right? So you can create those things yourself. That's in Polypad under this games and applications, this question builder tool. This is where you could put a correct answer. And then, so when they send the link to students, it'll let them know whether they're right or wrong. I probably talked too much, but is there anything else that I can share? Or is there something like, if we were to do a part 2, something you would want to learn more about?
I think it's gonna take practice.
I think that's definitely the main thing, like anything, I was playing around with that. So one thing I would recommend you do right now, if you didn't, I mean, if you're logged in, is saving the file I gave you. Where is it? Oops. The file I gave you here, you've done some changes to it at this point. I would go up to the top of file and hit save. So that, and it should now pop up in your library under the orange section here. And you can create a folder if you want to start organizing files for yourself. Well, so let me know. You all know how to contact me if you feel like there are other things that you would like to explore together with other teachers, with other students. Let me know.